everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into some research that really made me think twice about my diet. You know how they say, you are what you eat? Well, this research from Tulane University is saying that what you eat can actually change the structure of your brain.
Yeah, that's right.
It's from an article titled, Scientists, This Diet Can Boost Your Brain by Changing Your Gut Microbiome. And it's based on a study that was done on rats, but it's got some pretty big implications for us humans.
Especially young adults.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the key takeaways here. The study found that rats who ate a Mediterranean diet had some pretty significant changes in their gut microbiome compared to the rats who ate a typical Western diet.
So before we go any further, I think we need to back up for a second and explain what the gut microbiome even is. For those of us who haven't spent much time thinking about the bacteria in our stomachs, can you break that down for us? Why is this important?
Oh, absolutely. So you know how we hear about the good bacteria and the bad bacteria? Well, your gut is actually home to trillions of bacteria. And this whole community is what we call the gut microbiome. And it's not just about digestion. The gut microbiome is involved in so many things, like everything from your immune system to even your mental health.
Wow, okay, so that's fascinating in itself, but how does this connect back to brain power? Like, what happened to those rats who were on the Mediterranean diet?
Well, researchers found that the Mediterranean diet led to an increase in certain types of bacteria. And these bacteria have been linked to positive effects on the brain. So, for example, one type, Candidate Saccharomyces. It was associated with better performance on memory and learning tasks in the study.
Candidatus Saccharomyces. That's a mouthful, I have to admit. I've never even heard of that one before.
Yeah, it's not exactly a household name, is it?
Yeah.
But the point is that different bacteria play different roles. And this study is helping us understand how those roles could impact our cognitive abilities.
So it's not just about having more bacteria. It's about having the right kind. And
Exactly.
they actually tested the rats on this, right?
Yeah, they did. They put the rats through maze challenges to assess their memory and learning. And the rats who ate the Mediterranean diet were much better at navigating those mazes.
So it wasn't just a random change in their gut. There were actual measurable differences in how their brains were working. And I find this next part really interesting. The study found that an increase in bifidobacterium, which is often considered a good bacteria, was actually associated with poorer memory in the study.
Yeah, and that just shows how complex the gut microbiome really is.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as simple as good bacteria versus bad bacteria. It's all about balance and the specific roles that each type of bacteria plays.
So what might be beneficial in one context could actually have a different effect in another.
Exactly.
So it's more about the whole ecosystem working together in harmony, kind of like a well-balanced garden.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
This is all pretty amazing, but what her listeners probably wondering is, how does this apply to humans? I mean, we're not rats running around in mazes all day. We've got jobs and families and social lives. So how do those changes in the gut actually translate to real-life benefits for us?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? What's exciting is that this study also looked at things like cognitive flexibility, which is the ability to adapt to new situations, and working memory, which is like your brain's mental notepad, for holding information that you're actively using. And both of these are essential for just navigating everyday life.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. Cognitive flexibility is what helps you switch gears quickly when your boss throws a new project your way. And working memory is what lets you remember a phone number while you're scrambling to find a pen.
Yeah, exactly. And the study found that the rats on the Mediterranean diet, they had improvements in both of these areas.
Wow. So while we can't directly equate rat brains to human brains, it does suggest that there could be real-world cognitive benefits from paying attention to what we eat.
And it's not just about cognitive function. This study also found that the Mediterranean diet group had lower LDL cholesterol levels.
Well, that's interesting.
And that's the bad cholesterol that can lead to heart problems.
Which is interesting because we know that heart health and brain health are closely connected. So it seems like the Mediterranean diet could be offering a double whammy of benefits.
Right. And remember, this study focused on young rats, which are developmentally similar to 18-year-old humans. So these findings could be especially relevant for young adults who are still in a critical period of brain development.
So it's like setting yourself up for success right from the start.
Exactly. And while this research is just one piece of the puzzle, it aligns with what we're seeing in human studies as well, that link the Mediterranean diet to better memory and reduced risk of dementia later in life.
Okay, so we've heard a lot about the potential benefits, but what does a Mediterranean diet actually look like in practice? What kind of changes would someone have to make to their everyday eating habits? to start reaping these rewards.
Well, that's what we're going to explore next. But first, let's take a moment to unpack some of the specifics of what was found in this rat study.
Okay, so let's circle back to those specific changes in gut bacteria observed in the study. We talked about how some types of bacteria increased while others decreased in the rats who were on the Mediterranean diet. Could you maybe go into a little more detail about what exactly was happening in their guts?
Yeah, so aside from that intriguing Candidatus saccharomonas we were talking about, the study also found increases in bacteria like Lactobacillus, Prevotella, and Ruminococcus.
And remind me, why are these names significant? What do these bacteria actually do?
Well, previous research has suggested that these guys are linked to some pretty important functions. So, for instance, some Lactobacillus species are known for their role in fermentation, which can impact everything from digestion to nutrient absorption.
So it's not just about having more bacteria in general, it's about having the right kind of bacteria that can carry out specific jobs.
Exactly. And then you have Prevotella, which plays a role in breaking down complex carbohydrates, like those found in fruits and vegetables. Interestingly, the types of Prevotella found in people who eat a lot of fiber are different from those found in people who eat a more Western diet.
That makes sense. Our diets literally shape the landscape of our inner world. What about the Ruminococcus bacteria? What do those do?
Ruminococcus species are known for their ability to break down even tougher plant fibers. And some research suggests that they could be involved in regulating the immune system.
Wow, so by simply shifting the balance of these bacterial communities, the Mediterranean diet could potentially have ripple effects throughout the entire body, not just the brain.
That's what the research seems to suggest. And on the flip side, the study also observed a decrease in certain bacteria in the Mediterranean diet group. These included Ocellospira, Trichinolochi, Desulfovibrio, Clostridium, and Thericibacter.
And were those the bad bacteria?
Not necessarily. Some of these bacteria might have beneficial roles in certain contexts. But in this study, their decrease was associated with the positive cognitive changes we discussed earlier. Again, it's all about maintaining that delicate balance within the gut ecosystem.
Okay, so it's not as simple as just labeling bacteria as good or bad. It's a lot more nuanced than that.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that this is just one study. More research is definitely needed to truly understand the complex interplay between these specific bacteria and how they actually influence cognitive function. But it's a promising step toward understanding how we might be able to manipulate the gut microbiome to optimize brain health.
Yeah, it feels like we're on the verge of something groundbreaking here. Now, I know this study focused on young rats. Does that mean if you're past a certain age, it's too late to make a difference in your gut health?
No, not at all.
Well,
While early childhood is definitely a crucial time for microbiome development, research suggests that our gut microbiome remains adaptable throughout life. Even as adults, we can still influence its composition through dietary changes.
so it's never too late to start taking care of your gut. And speaking of taking care of your gut, let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice. We've been throwing around the term Mediterranean diet a lot, but what does that actually mean for someone who's trying to incorporate these findings into their daily life?
Well, the good news is that the Mediterranean diet isn't about deprivation. It's about enjoying a wide variety of delicious and nutritious foods.
That sounds pretty good to me. So paint us a picture. What would a typical day of eating look like on the Mediterranean diet?
So picture this. You wake up and you have a bowl of Greek yogurt topped with fresh berries and a drizzle of honey.
Okay, that sounds pretty doable. What about lunch?
For lunch, you might have a salad with grilled fish or chicken, lots of colorful veggies, and a light vinaigrette made with olive oil and lemon juice.
Sounds refreshing and satisfying. And for dinner?
Dinner could be a lentil soup or a veggie-packed pasta dish with a tomato-based sauce.
Okay, I'm starting to see the pattern here. Lots of fresh produce, lean protein, healthy fats. Is that what makes this diet so special?
Exactly. The emphasis is on whole, unprocessed foods, with plenty of fruits, vegetables, legumes, whole grains, and olive oil.
And what about things to avoid?
You'll want to minimize processed foods, sugary drinks, and red meat.
Got it. So it's about making swaps, like choosing a handful of almonds instead of that bag of chips, or adding more olive oil to your cooking.
Exactly. Small, consistent changes can add up to make a big difference over time.
And who knows, maybe you'll even discover some new favorite food along the way. So we've talked a lot about the science behind the Mediterranean diet and its potential benefits for brain health. But I think it's important to acknowledge that diet is just one piece of the puzzle.
Oh, absolutely. There are many other factors that contribute to cognitive health, such as exercise, sleep, stress management, and social engagement.
Right. It's about taking a holistic approach to well-being. But this research on the gut microbiome definitely adds a fascinating new dimension to the conversation.
It does. It really highlights the interconnectedness of our bodies and minds. And it gives us even more reason to prioritize gut health as a key part of overall wellness.
So before we wrap things up, what's the one thing you'd want our listener to walk away with today?
I think the key takeaway here is this. Your gut microbiome is a powerful force that can have a significant impact on your health, including your brain health. And while we're just beginning to understand the complexities of this relationship, the research is incredibly promising. It suggests that by making conscious choices about what we eat, we can potentially shape our gut microbiome in ways that support cognitive function and overall well-being.
It's almost like we have this hidden superpower within us, just waiting to be unlocked. And that's pretty amazing.
It is, and it speaks to the incredible potential of food to transform our lives.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of gut bacteria and brain power. We hope you found it informative and inspiring. And remember, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep nourishing your amazing brain. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
This whole discussion has really got me thinking about other dietary patterns, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, could there be even more brain-boosting foods out there just waiting to be discovered? It feels like we're just scratching the surface of this whole gut-brain connection.
Yeah, that's a great point. But, there's a whole world of research to be done on how different diets impact the gut microbiome and, in turn, cognitive function. For example, some researchers are looking into the potential benefits of fermented foods, like kimchi and sauerkraut, which are rich in probiotics.
Oh, right. Probiotics. Those are the live bacteria that are supposed to be good for your gut.
Exactly. And there's also growing interest in prebiotics, which are types of fiber that feed the good bacteria in your gut. You can find those in foods like onions, garlic, asparagus, and bananas. So it's not just about adding good bacteria, it's also about feeding the good bacteria that are already there.
Exactly. It's all about creating an environment where those beneficial bacteria can thrive. And then there's the whole fascinating area of personalized nutrition, where we might one day be able to get individualized dietary recommendations based on our unique gut microbiome profiles.
Wow, personalized brain food. That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie. But seriously, how far off do you think we are from that becoming a reality?
Well, there are already companies exploring this concept, using DNA sequencing technology to analyze people's gut microbiomes and provide tailored dietary advice. It's still early days, but it's definitely an exciting area of research that holds a lot of promise.
It's like we're moving beyond the one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition and embracing a more individualized understanding of what our bodies need. I love that.
Yeah, and the implications go beyond just preventing disease. We're talking about potentially enhancing cognitive function, improving mental well-being, and just optimizing our overall health and vitality.
So if someone is listening to this right now and feeling inspired to take action, what advice would you give them? Where should they start?
Well, I'd say just start by paying attention to what you're eating. Are you getting enough fruits, vegetables, and whole grains? Are you incorporating fermented foods or prebiotic-rich foods into your diet? Even small changes can make a difference.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, just remember that it's not about being perfect. It's about progress.
Absolutely. Start with one small change at a time and gradually build from there. And remember, there's a wealth of information available. You can find it online or talk to healthcare professionals. There are so many people who can guide you on your journey towards better gut health.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for the power of my gut microbiome.
It really is amazing, isn't it? This intricate world within us. That plays such a crucial role in our overall health and well-being.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the fascinating world of gut bacteria and brain power. A huge thank you to you for sharing your expertise and insights with us today.
It was my pleasure. Always happy to talk about the wonders of the gut microbiome.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. We hope you learned something new today and that you feel empowered to take charge of your own cognitive health. Remember, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep nourishing your amazing brain. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.